Yeah, we'll just start at the beginning.
All right. Hi, we are Team Yinchu. My name is Steve.
My name is Chan here.
And today we'll be discussing about population statistics. Social scientists and policy experts need to understand a country's situation in order to come up with appropriate policies. And in order to do so, they need to make accurate predictions about the future population trend. And this requires not just knowing the total size of the population, but also its internal characteristics and the composition of the population, such as the age and the gender distribution. And today we're going to be walking you through our product that will help the social scientists and the policy experts. So this is the outline presentation. We're going to start off with by stating our objectives, move on to our solution, and provide a few live demo and end it with a conclusion. Cool. So what is the objective? These are the main goal of the product is to collect and make accessible data on the human population. And these were the following deliverables. So the first objective was to create a Python function named population that will deliver information to answer the queries of the following form. And this is our solution.
So for this, it's a simple widget. We decided to build on the population function and create a population query. And the reason for this, as a lot of people in class spoke, is that not all political scientists might be very technologically savvy. So we want to create a simple UX. As you can see here, the region is selected from a previous index, and we'll get to that in a demo. But there's a year, and they can choose any category from a simple drop-down menu, and it shows you what the number for that is. So the next one is our data frames, which while we understand that it's a lot of data and may not be the best way to visualize it, we wanted to pull that data and make it available for those people who can use it. We also had a neat little feature of caching data of countries that have already been downloaded before. This saves time for future runs and also allows the function to work if internet connection to the WV data database is not working for some reason. You'll also notice that apart from population, we have pull net migration statistics, and we'll do some interesting analysis with later on. The last thing to note is the different NAN values. This is especially for net migration, which is reported only every 5 years. This could lead to certain breaks in the data, so just keep that in mind if you're using this in the future.
Okay, so those were a couple of ways of looking at the population statistics, but the population pyramid is a very powerful tool that really keeps track of a complex data in a way that is easy to comprehend and interpret through visualization. So this shows the composition of the human population, and it starts the x-axis would have the number of people, and the y-axis have the age distribution in 5-year intervals. So in order to demonstrate how population pyramids work, we wanted to explain how we kind of categorize the population pyramids into 3 categories. So the 3 categories are the pre-industrial society, industrial society, and the post-industrial society. And the stages of the population pyramids are correlated with the higher life expectancy, less child mortality rate, as a result of improvement in medicine, sanitation, or food supply. So you would see a population boom. So in the first stage, you would see a rapid growth where you have an expansive pyramid, and also with this you see a high birth rate, but also a high death rate due to lack of birth control, education, or access to Medicare. So the first stage is on the top right corner, and this country is Niger. And the stage 2 example we have is Canada, and here you see a slow growth where there's stationary or stable population. due to lower birth rate and lower death rate, and this is due to the good family planning, and you have good medical care and education. So stage three is a post-industrial society where there is almost negative growth in the population, and you would see a contractive or declining population because they're at a advanced stages of industrialization. So the both birth rates and death rates are significantly low. We see a correlation between the fertility rates and the different stages of the population pyramids. For example, Niger has 7.1 fertility rate of an average woman, and Canada has around 1.5. So stage two would be around from 1.5 to 2.0, and stage three would be around 1.0 to 1.5, as Japan has 1.4 of birth rate, and Germany has 1.4, and Spain has 1.3 as well.
So now to kind of show our product demo, we'll explore this concept with some interactive graphs. So let's switch over quickly to hi. So sorry for the technical difficulty. We thought it stopped recording. But anyway, so we wanted to explore what we did with the here in a live demo. So this is kind of our code. I don't want to get into details, and I'll post it online. But you start here. There's an easy content. There's a table of contents. You run these before you set up. But let's kind of get to the meat where it starts. But start here. So the first country we wanted to look at was Niger, and let's say you don't know what the code is. It could be Nigeria, it could be Niger. It's an easy, simple code. You'll get NER. It's going to run. Saves the code. As I said, this is the kind of easy access database that we have. Let's say we want to find out what in 2011, how many people lived in Niger. That would be total pop, and turns out it's about 17 million, I think. I'm pretty bad at counting without commas. Anyway, here's the meat of it. So we run the pyramid. It's a neat little interactive that allows us to kind of go through the ages, and apologies for that. But here we go. So you can easily see it, and generally speaking, for most of these countries, regardless of what year you are in, the shape of the pyramid is pretty much the same. There we go. It just takes a bit of time to load. So as you saw, 2007. Let's look at 1980. It's still a very similar pyramid. I'm not sure what happened here. Maybe it's an interesting history lesson. But generally speaking, these countries stay the same. And why? If their average birth rate for a mother in Niger is 7.1 kids, the number of young people are always going to be high. So let's look at something that's a bit later, right? Let's look at the USA. And it was a class. It came under the second category of countries. Now, unfortunately, the US is like a 300-year-old country, and we have only data from 1960, which means that it's hard to see really, really big trends. But let's say we were to start at the beginning of a data set in 1960, which is right after World War I, the baby boomer generation. So you notice that there's a bit of a gap here, and there's a bulk here, and this is the baby boomer generation. Now notice as these 3-4 lines, as we go through the years, will move up. Here you see that now they're 25-year-olds. In the 1980s, in the 2000s, they're probably going to be about 45 years old. And there we go. At 45, you can see it move front. So that's really cool. Now let's look at the opposite, right? Let's look at Japan. And Japan was in the third category. Japan is in an unfortunate position in the sense where the mothers are actually giving birth to less than 2 children, which means that per generation, the country is shrinking. So let's see what that looks like over time. Let's start from 1960 as well. Japan built itself after the Second World War. And right now, it actually looks like a pretty solid pyramid. It looks like not a Niger type of pyramid, but a very consistent growth. And they actually had a lot of economic growth in the 80s. And, I'm sure that will be reflected here. But then sometime, as some of you may know, they went to this period of economic decline, and the industries really failed. And you start noticing how this pyramid starts inverting. And, if we skip ahead from to about 2-3 years ago, you'll notice that it's an inverse pyramid now. And with each generation, the number of people in generation being born are much lower. So that's how it looks like the 3 countries.
Okay, so that was the animated population pyramid that we just demonstrated. and we had a couple of other examples as well. The first one was the UAE, and if you look at the population pyramid for UAE, it's a very interesting, pretty interesting because it's heavily skewed towards men, and there's a higher men population than women. And for Nepal, you would see that it kind of looks as if it kind of looks as if someone took a bite out of the pyramid on the right section for men. And this is because the young Nepalese people, primarily men, they emigrate to the neighboring countries to find work. And for UAE, um, you would the country's population is just blown up by immigration. And we wanted to find a way to visualize this. So this is the solution that we came up with. You could see the population pyramid trends across different times, and you could also see the population growth. And this on the right side, this is the net migration, the number of migration over time. So, and these are a few data that we pulled over from the World Bank data. We just looked through the different data to find a way to possibly explain such anomalies.
And kind of the point to our presentation, and this is what we like to conclude on, as economists, it's data is extremely important, visualization is extremely important. But in some places, you can make simplifications about how a country is just by looking at population pyramids, as we did in the first stage. But sometimes there are anomalies, and these anomalies could exist for a variety of different cultural and unique reasons. So it's important to know where population pyramids are strong and where they're not, and where it's important to look at other data. Uh, we hope you enjoyed this, and feel free to post any questions on this field to post.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.